Going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. European American explains why they don't want to teach Black History Month. European American explains why they don't want to teach real American history. Because if you're going to teach real American history, you got to tell the truth, right? The thing is, history, American history, involves two things: Africans surviving white people and white people enslaving and terrorizing Black people. That's American history. Hate it or love it, that's what it is. That's why the right-wing Christian conservatives hate the word woke. You see, they know what woke mean. They know what woke mean, right? And they can't say what they want to say. So they encompass their whole insecurities about the whole topic. All the guilt is wrapped up in that word woke. They don't want people to wake up. Even if you think about the word woke, what's the negative connotation of it for anybody? To wake up and to see, to understand your surroundings, to understand why things are the way they are. And you see, they're not saying woke and trying to hide Black history and burning books and knocking down statues. They're not doing that so that we African Americans don't know, so we don't learn, because we know. They know we know. It's in our DNA that we know, right? Our families tell the stories. We're always going to know the truth, and we always look them in the eye and we let them know it's true. There was a time when we couldn't even look them in the eye because their guilt, they've always been felt guilty about it, but their greed and their need to still get away with what they wanted to get away with, and their need to be superior supersedes their guilt about it. Like their need to be greedy has always superseded their morality. That's why they can justify it. Like, I think it's ridiculous that they even call themselves Christians, that they even pretend like they worship Jesus. They know Jesus Christ would not be on their side. They know real Christians wouldn't be on their side. They know what they're practicing when they go to those churches. It's not Christianity, because a lot of American racism is within those Christian churches, those white churches, right? Just like a lot of our revolutionary mind thinking, a lot of our Pan-Africanism, a lot of our pro-Blackness has been in the Black church. So our Christianity, we've used our Christianity to fight against their Christianity. We've never worshiped the same gods, ever, right? Even though we call these religions the same thing, we've never worshiped the same gods. And you got to understand, like I said, woke, and the idea of stopping it is not for us because we're going to know. It's to stop other Europeans who either were indoctrinated but then started to put two and two together, like, you know what, this don't make sense. Or those ones who haven't been indoctrinated yet, and they're starting to come into the information, because before, Europeans could control the message within their communities. You got to understand, most Europeans live in rural areas, right? The movies have you believing that all Europeans live in the city. They all got jobs working for the corporation, trying to make partner, right? They all got businesses. They're all living up in the Hamptons. Like, when you look at American TV, they portray white people in a certain way. Now, those are the rich white people. Those are the minority of white people, right? The 20%, the 10%, the 1%. But there's a 70% of white folks are impoverished. 70% of them live in villages that are equivalent to those African villages that we see on TV. 70% of them are on welfare. 70% of them not all of them got Wi-Fi and internet. They live in places where they don't have access to hospitals, where their schools are trash and they don't teach them anything. The same problems we got in the African-American community with the government not investing in our communities. 70% of Europeans got the same problems. Now, how do you keep 70% of people who got the same problems as African Americans? How do you get those 70 people to blame African Americans? Those white men in suits and those news organizations that are owned by those white men in suits tell those 70% of white folk, hey, the reason why you're suffering in life, the reason why your granddaddy suffered, the reason why your great granddaddy suffered, the reason why you suffering, and the reason why your kids suffering, because of those Black people taking your jobs, because those brown people taking your jobs. But in fact, it's them. They're the ones who bring all the people because they don't want to pay you a living wage. They're the ones who bring in mass immigration because they don't want to pay you. The same thing happened during slavery. White folks who came over here, they try to get a job. Why would a corporation hire white people and pay them and get them benefits when they can have an African do it for free? Poor white people have always been slaves. They've always been serfs. Their condition has always been like that, right? But the thing is, they're now waking up to that fact. They're now educating themselves and saying, hey, you know what? It ain't those Black folks' problems. It ain't them brown people problem. It's them rich folks with all the money. that's doing this, that's manipulating everybody. And once those 70% of white folks figure it out and they get on board with us black folks, what they gonna do? What they gonna do when those racist white people who once were racist started to not be racist no more? When they figured out that it was all a lie. That's what they're afraid of. The establishment is afraid of white people waking up. Look at the white people's children now. Look at them. They're waking up. They're not even talking to their parents. They're cussing their parents out. They're challenging their parents politically. They're over talking their parents who already been indoctrinated. They grew up in racist towns. They never met a black person. They was watching that propaganda on TV just like everybody else around the world, watching the same TV. You keep in mind who been controlling the media. Those people, right? And those people has been disseminating their propaganda on that same boob tube since the TV has been invented, since the radio was invented, since they was able to send messages and control the messages with a few companies that control the message. But now we got the internet. Everybody can be an eye reporter. Everybody can be a journalist. Everybody can state their opinion. And people can ask questions and put 2 and 2 together, put 3 and 3 together. And that's what's happening. And they don't like it because they can't control the narrative anymore. That's what the white establishment, the white racist establishment are mostly definitely afraid of. It's not black folks figuring it out because we already know. It's them white folks figuring it out. It's those POCs that's been used as a buffer class figuring out that they've always been used and they've never had that privilege that they thought they was going to have. And those immigrants, those black immigrants who they use to pit against African Americans, they're figuring it out. And once everybody figure it out, then we're going to do something about it. And that's what they're afraid of. So you got to understand. Wokeness is right Christian, evangelical, racist white people complaining and being afraid of the world, realizing that they are in fact the problem. And look, and they're so bad at it now. The information age has been so detrimental to them now that we can see it in HD 4K. We see it in 4K. They're spending so much time trying to pretend like America's not racist while being just as racist as they were back in the day. They're giving us a primary example right now in the present day of how racist they were back then. If you didn't know then, you know now. People who never experienced racism on this level now have an ability to get a Costco sample of it. They feeling it now. They see it now. They understand stop and frisk. You see now, they didn't understand stop and frisk before. Now they understand stop and frisk. Them Latinos, they know this. They know it's something now. Now, from now on, they're going to understand when we was talking about stop and frisk, when them police was pulling us, our black boys over for no reason, harassing them, right? Shooting them in the back while they running because they ain't want to get shot by the police, setting them up in traps. Now the Latinos understand. Now the Afro-Caribbeans and Afro-Latinos understand. Now white people understand. This the biggest mistake they ever did was trying to suppress something that can't be suppressed, right? So understand, it's a new day. All right, it's a new day, and the cat's never going back in the bag. Anyway, you guys tell me what you think in the comment sections. Afro Think Tank, learn something, teach something. I'm out.
Mag, I'm gonna need for y'all to shut the fuck up about Black History Month. See, the reason why they don't want Black History taught is because then it shows the atrocities of the white straight Christian man. How they used the Bible to justify slavery. How they bombed churches, black churches in Mississippi, how white men were allowed to abduct Emmett Till and beat him to death, and then fucking a jury of white men found these white men not guilty. Like, give me a fucking break. That's why they have a problem with Black History Month or women's history or Native American history or any of that. It's because when you dig into the truth about these people's oppression, the smallpox in the blankets, the lynchings, the abuse of women, who's the bad guy in it? Oh, it's white men. It's white straight Christian men. And they don't want history taught like that. It's the same dumb shit like when you read in a history book about the Battle of the Little Bighorn. See, I'm from Montana. I've been to Crow Agency, Montana. I've been there. I've seen the battlefield. I've walked the steps. But when you ask the natives about that, when you ask the Sioux about that, it's the Battle of the Little Bighorn. See, the reason why they got to call it Custer's Last Stand is so that it gives it some noble essence. See, look, he was fighting against these thousands of Native Americans and these savages, and he took his men and he fought bravely. It's like, no, it's not. That's not what the fuck happened. He was a fucking idiot whose ego got too big for his fucking britches, and he got his fucking ass handed to him. But see, they don't want history taught like that. They want a history that's taught that the white Christian man is the hero, is the savior. If it wasn't for him, it'd all be gone. It'd all be to the black savages and to these Mexicans. And look at women, they don't know their place. I mean, it's like, give me a fucking break. Your problem with history being taught accurately is because in fucking more than half of it, it's white, straight Christian men who are the fucking assholes in it, you fucking idiots.
Oh my god. I just fucking realized that my whole life I was taught that we freed the slaves. The slaves were freed. You mean to tell me that an oppressor suddenly just decided? No, bitch, they freed themselves. Oh. Isn't that wording brilliant? The slaves were freed. We freed the slaves. It makes you think like revolution came from higher up. That's so smart, and it's bullshit. It's bullshit.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan.
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.